Warning, this video contains opinions about ARK the Animated Series and the Explorer Notes found within ASE and ASA. If you cannot handle hearing the opinions of someone who may disagree with you on aspects of ARK, please click off the video and go outside. Thank you. Hey everyone, Oofston here. Originally, I was going to be making a small review about ARK the Animated Series, and then if I enjoyed the show, I'd be making these analysis videos. But due to some things that came up while the show aired its first 6 episodes, and the fact that I couldn't really figure out how to put my thoughts into words for a full review, I decided I'd just be skipping into these analysis videos. But if you want to hear my quick thoughts, here they are. I loved the first half of Season 1 of ARK the Animated Series. My expectations were pretty high, and the show still managed to exceed them. In my personal opinion, so far, the show stands above the Explorer Notes of the game, and elevates every character that was present in the notes. Yes, even Rockwell. All of the new characters are awesome too, and I'm confident that the second half of the season will be even better than the first half. In this series, we will be looking over pretty much everything relevant to the show, from plot details, animation, theories, and much more. But doing all this is hard work, and I soon realized that there was no way I could do this all by myself, so I turned to my friend Blockbeam for help.
Hello, I'm Block. I'll be popping in here and there to help Oofston with some neat details and some concepts. But I am mostly here as the hired Rockwell expert, and I will be talking about him extensively when the time comes. With that being said, thank you for having me, and take it away, Oofston.
Blockbeam was a massive help in gathering tons of the details we'll be going over, and like he said, he'll be joining me occasionally to discuss a few things. With that being said, let's dive headfirst into Episode 1. I'm pretty sure everyone picked up on this, but the ARK logo morphs into some rocks that we could see underwater. Unfortunately, this only happens in this episode, and I feel like it was a huge missed opportunity to continue this trend in later episodes. We see our first ARK creatures here, which are coelacanths. Here we have our next two creatures, which are the Megalodon and the Leads. The Megalodon is the first of many creatures in the show to seemingly be drastically different in size compared to what we see in the game. Helena's first instinct upon seeing the specimen implant is to rip it from her wrist, which I don't blame her. I would be picking at that thing constantly if I was on an ARK. Dodo.
You woke up in the water, washed up on the beach. It was the same for me.
It's interesting that in the canon of the show, survivors wake up in the water. I'd imagine that absolutely brings up the mortality rate of the ARKs.
Just where exactly are we?
Hell if I know. Better question is when.
Bob is more right than he knows. I know he thinks we're in the past, but his question does carry a ton of weight. Why the hell is Bob carrying around a backpack with women's clothes in it? That's kind of suspicious, Bob. Bob's face here is just priceless.
Bob's running holding the spear in the exact same animation that the player does when ready to throw the spear at something.
Fun fact, this snail's name is Chekhov.
90-foot cliff, and the roar of the naval guns firing on the crowds. You could feel the explosions in your chest. Just as we were about to make landfall, there was a bright light and a loud sound. And then I woke up here.
I really like the backstory they gave Bob. Making him one of the heroes that stormed Normandy, it would have been probably much easier to not give him a backstory because, let's be honest, Bob's a joke character. I don't think I need to say anything. If you know, you know. Fun fact, in the trailer, Bob was actually missing his implant in this scene. It's nice to see that they caught the error and fixed it before release. Mesopithecus, Meganeura, Titanomira, Brontosaurus, Triceratops, Pteranodon.
While I can't say with 100% accuracy that it is a reference, it's definitely some parallel themes with the auditorium lecture from Jurassic Park 3. Both are talking about raptors specifically, and the sciences within their world potentially creating even further miracles in that field of dinosaurs. It's not a theory by chance, but definitely some parallels.
Science is about the pursuit of the truth, in all its complexity.
Isn't it the truth that she has an arrest record?
Jesus Christ, this dude is a dick. I hope he wakes up on an ARK one day. Originally, I was a little disappointed they decided not to go with Athena for Helena's main companion, but after finishing part 1, I gotta say, Scary the Parasaur is awesome. And after some thought, I realized that if Helena had Athena, she could just kinda go anywhere on the island, which is fine for the Explorer Notes, as they're restricted to 30 pages to tell the story, but I feel like it would lessen aspects of the show if Helena could just fly anywhere. Having her locked to a land mount for part 1 is a great choice.
You're a professor?
I don't see why that should be so shocking.
Well, you're, a
As much as I did like Bob, I mentioned earlier he is just a joke character, so killing him off now makes perfect sense. It shows the audience that this new world is dangerous, and anyone is at risk of death at any time.
The raptor coming close and tapping its big toe is a very obvious reference to Jurassic Park.
This whole scene is brutal. I knew this wasn't going to be a kids show, but Jesus Christ. Also, Triceratops.
Stay absolutely still.
Characters covered in mud while dinosaur gets close to them and they say don't move could be a reference to Jurassic Park.
Well, just imagine how I farted after chili night, and you'll be grateful I'm away.
Victoria.
That was a 6.7 on the Richter scale.
Victoria's farts are considered quite strong by the Richter scale.
I am Sir Edmund Rockwell, honoured member of the Royal Academy of Sciences of Her Majesty's Empire, the year of our Lord, 1890.
Rockwell having a drawing of a young girl in his tent brings up so many questions, like, who is she? What happened to her? Etc. And here's my controversial take for the day. I think this makes him more interesting than Rockwell from the Explorer Notes. Blockbeam and I will talk about Rockwell way more in depth later on in this series, but I feel like too many people are writing him off as comically evil, when that's really not the case at all.
In Rockwell's tent, you can see a book on the side that has words like pathway and regeneration on it. And the top of it, it says research day 2345. This could just be an animation thing, as those are numbers that go in sequence, but assuming that it's not, Rockwell has been on the ARK for 6.5 years. And each of the symbols are unique. Regeneration, I can't really make out, it just seems to be some sort of symbol. The Italis eyes, just a random circle. Life is an implant symbol of some kind. Eternal is a silhouette of a half person, potentially even a Homo Deus or visions of one. Restore, which I think that's what it says, it's hard to make out. It looks like a shield or protection of some kind. Death is a diamond shape, potentially another implant, but more likely an overseer. Pathway is just a random shape. And ARK looks like one of the gateways from the Gateway Project in Aberration, and Record is an obelisk.
But I call it the ARK.
Rockwell being the one to name drop the island as the ARK is a great callback to the Explorer Notes and his original character. He deserves this.
We have brought these beasts to heal, as is our right and duty as superior beings.
A predator kept in a state of constant hunger. You don't know how what you're doing will change them.
You speak as a woman who has been educated in the sciences.
I am.
Then surely you can see what we have at work here are the scientific principles of natural selection in their purest form. Survival of the fittest.
Unlike Bob, Rockwell actually treats Helena with some level of respect when he finds out she's highly educated. Instead of assuming that she's not as smart as him because she's a woman, Rockwell immediately assumes that she lives by the same high principles he does due to her education.
Are the scientific principles of natural selection in their purest form. Survival of the fittest.
Did he just? Oh my God! He just.
Oh my God!
Survival of the fittest!
Oh my God! Survival of the fittest!
Tell me then, from what enlightened era do you join us? Your face so clean and your eyes so bright and full of life.
Rockwell is such a creepy fucking little weasel. I love him. Hey, it's Moss Chops. The raptor has a barrel on its head. This is hilarious. Cool little animation detail for you guys here. When Nerva walks past where the Rex's eyes are, it actually closes them. This raptor has seen the horrors of war.
When are you from, Jamie?
Anno Domini 1746.
I don't know if this is common knowledge or not, but if you didn't know, Anno Domini actually translates to the year of our Lord, which is what Rockwell said when telling Helena what year he is from. This shot is absolutely a reference to Primal. While what Rockwell does here is terrible, I don't think it makes him completely unredeemable. We already know that Rockwell is going to be going through a reverse character arc, and that the season will end with him probably more closely resembling the Rockwell we know from the beginning of the Explorer Notes. I absolutely think they can pull off a redemption, because I've seen characters get redeemed who have done much, much worse. Omni-Man!
I miss my wife.
Helena's fossil tattoo is exactly where the implant on the arcs are. Victoria's death is a really heartbreaking scene, and it still kind of eats away at me whenever I watch it. But I can't help but feel like its impact would have been better if they didn't show us the scene in the trailer. This scene is just phenomenal. Everything from the music to the visuals is just amazing. I really wish I could play it in its entirety here, but copyright. No, you idiot. Don't talk to Helena. Her last two friends on the Ark were killed. What are you thinking?
Scary. How did you get free?
How did Scary, the relatively large animal, get free and then roam around Nerva's camp for possibly hours without being seen by anyone? This is the second time we've seen Chekhov the snail. I wonder if he'll be of any importance later. The soldiers in this scene do a similar salute to the in-game one, though it is slightly different.
I studied the histories, Dominus. Not just the Etruscans and Phoenicians, but what existed before them, when there were only beasts and gods.
This entire segment between Nerva and Helena is excellently directed, along with phenomenal voice acting from both Maddie and Gerard Butler.
What was your realm, Helena?
I'm from a place called Terra Australis in your language.
Australis? And what do you call it in your own language?
Home.
Actually, Australis does not translate to home. Helena Walker is wrong here. Upon my first viewing of episode 1, for some reason I legitimately thought that this was a map of the island, but yeah, now looking back, I'm just an idiot.
The legends of this world depict 3 such artifacts. One I have here.
I really like the way the show simplified the artifacts. Instead of having the 10 that we can find in-game, there's only 3. Next episode we find out that the green one is the artifact of the pack, but by looking at this image, I would say that the blue one is the artifact of the strong, and I'm guessing that the red one is probably the artifact of the cunning, but like folded in on itself.
I just ran a tiny Achatina limusegna snail along the rim of your cup.
In-game, Achatina produce organic polymer, which could be what paralyzed Nerva, considering that even though in the game organic polymer is lethal, this Achatina is much smaller and Nerva did not consume a lot of it, which could just lead to paralysis. I love this goofy-ass Scooby-Doo moment. Another certified Scary the Parasaur win. Athena fans are trembling right now. Wait a second, that's the girl who killed Bob. Bitch got what she deserved.
Clever.
After consulting many, and I mean many experts in the field, I have concluded beyond a reasonable doubt that this may in fact be a reference to Jurassic Park. Okay, I'm not doing that bit again, but Jesus Christ. Helena's phone starts at low battery, but the next time we see it, it's actually fully charged. Every episode ends with a sort of like little recap of the episode's events, but in the Explorer Note art style, and that's just so fucking cool. This is probably a reference to some obscure media out there, but I have no idea what it could be. And there we have it. That is episode 1 of ARK the Animated Series, and I gotta say, it's a pretty good fucking pilot. As it stands right now, episode 1 is my second favorite episode, and I'll go into my actual ranking once we get to the end of part 1, but I think episode 1 is phenomenal. There are some issues, of course, mainly the animation. While I do really like it, and it does look really good, it is definitely made on the cheap, but not cheap enough that it bothers me, if that makes any sense. My favorite part about the pilot is definitely General Nerva, because I don't know if this is a controversial take or not, but I don't really like Nerva in the Explorer Notes at all. I found his notes really boring to read, and I never really enjoyed his character. But in the show, I don't know, it's either Gerard Butler's voice acting or maybe the change in his motivations, but I really like his character now, and he gets even better when we see him later on in the show. Overall, this is a great start to what I think is probably my favorite video game adaptation. Is it the best video game adaptation there is? No, but it's definitely my favorite. Once again, I want to thank Blockbeam for his help in gathering a ton of this stuff that we went over, along with him appearing in the video. Around the time that I get this posted, Blockbeam should actually have his own video out right now. So if you're interested to hear what he thinks about the new Scorched Earth DLC for ARK Survival Ascended, go check that out in the pinned comment down below. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you later for episode 2.